What's good? Sorry to do this video like this, but I just sitting around kind of watching a movie and it made me think about this. Um, while I was on the topic of HD remakes, I pulled some of my favorite games out that have what I would classify as age appropriate um, ability to get that HD remake, remastered touch to them. Um, I did not pull from my Xbox games. I did pull from the PS2 because this one particular title was meant for the PS1, but it made it to PS2. So I pulled one from the PS2. I pulled one from my PS1 collection because the only other one that I want to see is the Final Fantasy VIII game because Final Fantasy VII is already coming out. But I pulled one and I just showed the other one. I didn't pull anything from GameCube because GameCube was like master of the HD remakes and remastered for that time frame. I didn't pull anything from the Wii. So I pulled mainly from the Nintendo 64 and the Super Nintendo. So without further ado, let's get into the games that I would love to see get a high definition remaster or remake. And these are from my personal collection, so before you go getting all kinds of out of hand with it, please note that the first game I'm going to show you is a label mess up because I bought it like this. I have not had time to get the label fixed. So this is just what we're dealing with, okay? First game I would love to see get a remaster, remake, HD copy of. They could slip it on a 3DS. Nintendo, y'all need to do this. Is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Y'all did Wind Waker, you've done Ocarina of Time, you've done Majora's Mask, and you put Wind Waker on the Wii U. Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time have made their way to the 3DS. You even have the sequel to A Link to the Past, which is A Link Between Worlds on the 3DS, which I own. I would love to see the original Zelda game that started a lot of Zelda fans on Zelda, A Link to the Past, which started me with Zelda, get remastered and put on a 3DS. That's gonna start this video. So Zelda: A Link to the Past needs to be brought up into the new games, put on a 3DS, and let's see that happen. I would love to see that, Nintendo. Up next, I'm gonna just go ahead and show it again. Final Fantasy 8. And the reason I want to see this one remade, remastered, and everything, it's one of my all-time favorite Final Fantasies, next to 7 and next to 10. It's as simple as that. One of my favorite characters in the game is this man right here, Squall. I hope I said his name right. It's got some of the best summons in the game. Ifrit was badass in 7, and he only got better as the games went on with 8 and 10. And I would love to see that. I would love to see what they could do with it if they updated everything. And to me, that just kind of makes me think. And then of course, continuing with the whole Nintendo side of updating games and bringing new games or taking old games and giving them the whole updated feel. We have my most important Mario game to me from Nintendo 64 era, the Mario Nintendo 64 game, Super Mario 64. I would love to see Mario 64 get a legitimate update, a legitimate HD remaster, because to me this is where Mario last saw like true greatness, because he finally got into the 3D world. He was brought into the whole 3D aspect. and it worked. And we just haven't had a Mario game since Mario 64 that felt anything like that. You could say I'm crazy. You could say that Mario on the Wii was good, and it was, but to me, it just doesn't get any better than Mario 64. And I would love to see Mario 64 just, even if they put it on the 3DS, that to me would be great, because the 3DS to me is the 64, just as a handheld. And they've done that with a lot of 64 games. You have Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Star Fox 64. There's plenty of 64 games that they've ported over to the 3DS. They could take that game and put it on a 3DS and do that as a remake or a remaster, and I wouldn't be mad if they did that. Like I said, they could do that with, of course, the Link to the Past, and I still wouldn't be mad. Um, and then up next, going with the theme of Nintendo from the 64, we have, of course, one of my all-time favorite snowboarding games, 1080. 1080 has not had anything happen to it since the GameCube. Nintendo kind of let it die off after GameCube. We didn't see anything for the Wii or anything on Wii U. And the Wii, to me, was like, man, they could take 1080 and really let it come out and like, boom. Because you had the Wii fitness board. You had Tony Hawk's with his little board thing. And I was like, man, if they took that, Wii fitness board and they put the skateboard on it, you could literally just do circles on it and improve your balance and all kinds of stuff. I mean, even if they didn't do that and they just took the board and had you just kind of move yourself around with it, there was all kinds of things I thought they could have done with that had they kept it going. But now's a good time to bring that franchise back, or anything with it, because it is a good franchise. I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. I know a lot of people hated it. But it would be a great thing to see Nintendo bring back a franchise like 1080. Another game from my 64. Like I said, I have a lot of 64 games that are going to be on this video because they're age appropriate. They have age to them. Is Hexen. Hexen is one of those games that from the Nintendo 64 era that I really enjoyed, and I think would make a really good high definition. It's a first-person shooter game. A first-person game anyway, first-person view. Reminds me of Doom, reminds me of, GoldenEye, which, by the way, I have, and I would say they need to do a HD remake of GoldenEye, but that would eventually get turned into just another stupid, rehashing of Call of Duty, unfortunately, so I'm not going to say that. But Hexen, if they did a HD remake of that, could turn into something great. Mainly because there's so many aspects of how they could do it. It could turn into a horror first-person view thing. There's so many, things they could do with that. I said I wasn't going to talk about it. Well, split second, change your mind. Here it is. Yes, GoldenEye. They need to HD this game like 2 days ago. They need to be doing this, and they need to be doing it now. Even if, again, it was on a 3DS. That way they could protect it. And I know it was made by Rare, and Rare is no longer around. But they need to do these things. They need to make these games in HD, and they need to bring them into today. Because we're losing a lot of what made games like this. And even games such as this good. They're taking away the campaigns. They're taking away single player. I understand people are wanting to play more multiplayer games. I understand that. That's fine. That's great. Have that option. But do not take away what made games great, which is the story. And that's what they're doing. So if they make these HD copies of these games that were like this, or even games that were like this, and they take these games which had great campaigns, but they also had great multiplayer, and they combine the two and sold great, and they bring them into today's society and they sell great, then maybe the industry won't think we need to only make multiplayer games. But like I said, they need this to be remastered in today's society, even if they were to put it on a 3DS, because the 3DS can keep up with the PS4 and the Xbox One. I think it would be a great addition on the 3DS. And now I'm going to talk about my only PS2 game for this list, which is Shadow Hearts. And I'm talking about the first one, not the second one, the good one. Shadow Hearts, the first one, needs an HD remake because I don't know how many of y'all have played this, but this is a damn good game. This game was originally meant for the PlayStation 1, but due to the fact that the PS2 was new to the market and the PlayStation 1 was dying out, PS2 actually got this game by sheer luck. And due to that nature alone, when you boot this game up and you play it, that's why it feels like a PlayStation 1 game, because it was meant for the PS1. It was never intended for the PS2. It was intentionally meant for the PS1. That's why it plays just like a PS1 game. So I think it's time for it to officially get a reboot, or not a reboot, but a HD remaster, remake, whatever, and push it to what its intentions are. You know, they can touch it up, all that good shit, and hit the market. And I know it would sell. A lot of collectors, they have this game in their collection, and this is a game a lot of people who start collecting for the system, this is a game they actually go out and they buy. They actually go looking for that game, so it would sell. It would do really well. Up next, I'm going to talk a little bit about two games from the Super Nintendo system. Two of them that, to me, are amazing. And one of them, the first one I'm going to talk about, because, well, if they were to HD remake this one, they could do it on the Wii U or the 3DS or the PS4 or the Xbox One, and I know it would sell amazingly. And that, of course, be Mega Man X. Does not matter what system they were, if they were to make an HD remake of this game. I don't care what system they put it on. It could be on all of them. It could be on the handheld. It could be on the PS4. It could be on the Xbox One. It could be on the Wii U. It could be on all of them at the same time. I don't care. This game right here needs a HD remake. Not because the graphics are horrible, not because of any of that, but because this game is still fun today. I can plug in my PS, or not my PS, but my Super Nintendo. I can plug in my Super Nintendo right now, play it, and have more fun with that game than almost all my other games. When I say almost all my other games, because I do have fun with a lot of my games, but this game right here presents a hell of a challenge, and I keep playing it more than almost all my other games combined. I plug in a lot of hours on Mega Man X because it's entertaining to play. The story is damn good, and I don't know what it is about Mega Man X. I'm not big with Mega Man, but Mega Man X, just like Mega Man Battle Network, I enjoyed Mega Man Battle Network on the handhelds, and I enjoyed Mega Man X. I don't know why, but I really enjoyed those. And then, of course, up next is one of my most favorite RPGs from the Super Nintendo, back when Squaresoft was just kicking ass and taking names with their RPGs. This one, Breath of Fire. And yes, I do have it. And yes, I do play it. They could do a high definition remaster or a remake of Breath of Fire, release it on the Wii U or the 3DS or the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, and that bastard would sell like it's going out of style. Think I'm lying. This game would sell incredibly. If I had a yard sale tomorrow and I put this bitch out there for $100, it would be gone in 5 minutes. I'm not bullshitting you. I know people who would pay $100 for that, no problem. I've had people actually try to buy that from me right after I paid for it in the game store. So it's actually sought after. So they need to high definition some of these games. Okay. Lastly, my last game that I'm going to talk about for this is very simplistic. I said this in my episode 7, and I stand by it. The game they really need to high definition, and they really need to remake. The king of horror games right now, in my collection at least, Silent Hill, the original, from PlayStation. They need to high definition remake. I know they've mashed up 2 and 3. I know 2 is good and I know 3 is good. I understand that, but none are gonna compare to what number one is. Number one introduced us to it. Number one is that. It's number one. It's the best one. Number one scared the hell out of you. Majority of us were young when we played it. It's rated M for mature. It's got the 17 stamp on it. We were under that when we played it. And it needs to be remade. It needs to be remastered. It needs to be put back out there with updated graphics. It needs to be just like Final Fantasy X, X-2. It needs to have this thing going on so we can get back into it. We saw what happened with PT and the Silent Hills. Imagine what could happen if they just did that. It would look amazing. So that's it. That's my list. So I'm gonna get up out of here. Deuces.